Hey, this is Henry Rotten, and you're watching the GBYWN podcast. If you're not, go fuck yourself.
Hey, this is Marcus Centofonte, and you're listening to the GBYWN podcast. If you're Henry Rotten, you're somehow watching it.
Can I do it over now?
Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, Rad Hazard, welcoming you to the GBYWN podcast. And let me tell you, folks, it is a week after NYE4, the New York Extravaganza, the end of an era, some would say. And in the aftermath of what I would dare say is the greatest event in the history of the GBYWN era. After all of that, I am still just blown away and flat out exhausted. I mean, whoa. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'll try to say what I can, but just so you know, this episode, we're going to take it a little easy this episode. Because, as always, I try to keep my interviews as a trilogy. 3 episodes of the podcast per interview. And I'm going to do just that. You see, we have just enough time with Patric Wade Wilson to fill an entire episode of the podcast. So, if we ever end up running long with these interviews, maybe the third and final one will be a grand finale, showcasing all of the third act of what will be the interviews of their careers. And that is what will be the case this time. So we will not have the recaps and the rants and all that kind of stuff, the true and falses, not that this time. But we will have that next time on the podcast, just so we can get to all this juicy information coming to us from Patric Wade Wilson, the current Global Backyard Wrestling Nation Tag Team Champion of the World. But before we get to that, folks, I do want to talk about NYE4, because last time on the podcast when I mentioned it, it flew right off the top of my head. I called it the weekend of our lives. And let me tell you, folks, that is the understatement of a lifetime. So many amazing returns, men like Brad Rush, Jay motherfucking Cryptor, people, Sean Matthews. The list goes on and on. How about KKK? Returning to the yard, people. Incredible. Including men flying in from Britain, the likes of GBYWN World Heavyweight Champion Sam Jude, Tim Lee, the Canadians. Oh my goodness, I sucks dicks in full force. And then, to top it all off, an incredible showcase of wrestling matches. And, you know, I could go on and on about the tag team gauntlet, the Come As You Are Battle Royal, the Canadians versus GBYWN All-Stars. Oh, I could go on forever. Jay Cryptor taking on Perfection, Matt DeMorris versus Saint Vengeance, Marcus Centofonte versus MX5, Zayn versus Marcus Centofonte. Oh my God, I could go on and on. The Miss NYE, the GBYWN World Title 6-Way. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you about my personal experience, because I can definitely throw that your way with 100% accuracy. Myself, Mike Damage, and the Flamboys drove up Friday morning. We got there. I was actually completely exhausted because I had not slept the night before. I literally woke up that day, did all the chores and everything, made sure everything was set up for my father so I could leave with knowing that he was safe and had everything he needed. I then worked my overnight shift and immediately came home, got my gear, and drove. I personally didn't drive, but if you've ever driven with the Flamboys, you know that they like to rock. They like the loud music. They don't drive quietly. And there was no way I was getting a wink of sleep on the way there. So many of you are probably wondering why I got there looking dead tired and pretty much falling asleep on the set. Which, let me tell you, that was the most amazing set I've ever seen in backyard wrestling. So awesome to have the Japanese rampway, the quote-unquote catwalk, setting up into the ring, the great NYE set. Oh, man. I couldn't tell you how much I love that. I wish that could have stayed there and we could have wrestled in that set constantly, because that was amazing. And 100 catwalk spots on that set, and not a single scratch until Centofonte and Zayn destroyed the set, which was intentional. But all those other 100 spots, piece of cake. And that set took all that beating. How amazing is that? So when I got there, I actually didn't know what my match was going to be. At one point, it was Scuba Steve and California Wildfire against myself in a three-way, and then that changed. And so when I walked in not knowing who I was going to wrestle, I ended up wrestling a woman by the name of Angela Roja. That was her wrestling name in EWA. I actually don't know if she went by that at this show, because she was never announced, as far as I remember. But I'm going to assume she was still going by Angela Roja. And I actually knew her from the Elite Wrestling Association. She was in my faction, the Killing with Kindness movement. Wrestled a War Games match with her. So I was pretty familiar with her. And we ended up having our match, which was great because we were able to get her boyfriend, Matt DeMorris, in on the match. And originally he was just going to watch from afar, kind of play the whole, what are you doing, my girlfriend, kind of thing, you know. The last thing you want to do is be killed by Matt DeMorris. So you gotta watch where your hands go and how much you're beating up on his girlfriend, you know. I thought that would be a great, different way of doing the whole guy not wanting to wrestle the girl kind of thing that was actually being done earlier in the show anyway with other intergender matches. We ended up getting Matt to ref the match, which made it 10 times better, to be honest. Matt being in the ring completely changed the mood of the match, and it made it so much better. We had a great match, a flawless match. Everything went perfect. Matt DeMorris F5'd me at the end. They got their big moment. We wrestled in the rain. Oh, I'll tell you, I've never, as far as I remember, I've never wrestled in the rain before, so that was completely new to me. I was stuck in a guillotine, and I just took a knee for a second because we were getting hit with so much rain. I couldn't believe it. It's like, jeez, this is nuts. And, you know, I'm sure all of you know who've wrestled in the rain. You get used to it pretty quickly, and then you just keep going by the motions. But doing a moonsault in the rain, little scary. Gotta be honest, a little scary. But fantastic match. I took some twists of fates like crazy. She has an awesome finisher. It's like a neckbreaker flatliner combo. Pretty cool. Never even seen something like that. First time I ever saw it was watching myself take it on the camera. So how about that? But that was a fantastic match. And I continued the ref for the rest of the night. Refed all the rest of the rain matches, I guess you could call them. And later that night, went to a hotel with the Brits. And my socks, all my gear, were completely soaked the entire weekend because of all of that rain. I actually had BRB check on my feet, which he told me I had what I didn't even know it had a name. It's called trench foot, where you're just wearing wet socks and wet shoes for so long that it starts hurting your feet and like leaving tons of lines and stuff on your feet as if your feet are just like completely soaking in all the water. It's kind of disgusting looking, to be honest. Did affect me for a little bit, but I would keep trying to get new socks. BRB even gave me a pair of his socks, and I thanked him so much for that as a gift. I really appreciate that. BRB, if you're listening, I love you, man. Thank you so much for that, because you really saved my ass with all that stuff. I am so surprised I did not get a cold this weekend, just based off of the wet socks I had to wear most of the weekend alone. Day 2. Well, no, actually it's day 1, because day 0 was Friday. So day 1, the second day of wrestling, was day 1. And got to be in the opening promo. Finally got to have a little blow-off with Eric Douglas. He betrays the Radical Movement, goes his own way. We played it off like he was too hurt to wrestle. He proved that he could wrestle and that, we were holding him down. And the 6-way GBYWN World Championship match was on. Let me tell you, that may be the most high-profile match I will ever have in my career. I mean, think of all the people who were in attendance. Men like Jay Cryptor and KKK and Daniel Makabe, Scott Henson, Marcus Centofonte. Everybody was in attendance. Everyone was there. Sam Jude and Jim Lee in the match. So all eyes were on us. And when the footage comes out, I'm sure RCWA will watch. I'm sure the other members of I Suck Sticks will watch. I'm assuming the other members of the Wrecking Crew, well, I guess they were all there, but I'm assuming they'll watch it again. So all eyes were on our match, and we killed it. I thought we had a great showcase. Doug was a little rusty, to be honest, but it didn't really affect him. I think he did pretty well for his return match, I gotta say. And he got to do some great high-flying wrestling. I liked the match a lot, to be honest. Warren got to have his last little ride into the sunset. Got thrown off the roof. I know some people were disappointed with that. But my parts of the match, the first half of the match that I was involved in, I loved it. I feel like I really got to showcase myself. So thanks to all the bookers, the people running the NYE4, to give me that position. I mean, last year's NYE, I was kind of in the back burner. And I was curious if, all the wrestling I had been doing up to this point for NYE4 would be noticed, and my improvement as a wrestler might be noticed, and it was. And I was put into that match with full confidence, and I thank them so much for just giving me the opportunity to shine, and I really think I did shine thanks to them. And Eric Douglas, you and I, we're not through yet, my friend. At some point, somewhere, you and I, we gotta finish this. I don't know when, I don't know where, but it will happen. Trust me, buddy. Trust me. And then we go into day 2. Switch my socks again, switch gear, whatever I could keep dry. And I went into the Miss NYE 6-way match. Another 6-way, but a very different 6-way. More comedic, more out there just hitting bombs on each other constantly. You got the likes of Tommy Flambeau, Joey Tornado, Jimmy Spino, Jack motherfucking Diesel, and of course, the meat man himself, JD Static. And woof, what a match. The idea of getting us all up in electric chairs and having them whip me off, coming back, the double suplex, the 5-way Diesel Dog, all the catwalk spots, doing the Dragon's Gates, the selfie at the beginning, hitting Flambeau with the Dragon's Gate that sent us both through the set. All that stuff, fantastic. I was so happy pleased with the match. I wrestle very few matches where I look good at just dropping bombs on people throughout the entire match. I'm such a slower wrestler. I'm a technical guy. I'm a storyteller. So having a match like that actually worked well for me is kind of surprising, and it worked. It really worked. And near the end of the show, I gotta say, Daniel Makabe pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Last year, I saw you had a good gimmick. Wasn't too impressed with your wrestling. And hey, that's totally fine. I can really see why some people didn't think I was that great. I still don't think I'm that great, but the fact that he said, hey, this year, NYE4, I'm watching you this year, you're doing some good work. You're improving a lot. And I see that, and I appreciate that, and I respect that. You're doing some good work out here, buddy. And that meant the world to me, that a guy that talented, a guy that I wish I could really work his style, that super technical, super detailed style, all the little things he does, so impressive. And that's kind of what I wanted to do when I first started. I don't know if I'll ever get to anything like that, but the fact that a guy with that much talent and that much experience and ability looked at me and said, hey, you're doing all right, man. You're getting there. You're improving. You're doing great work. It meant the world to me, and I can't thank him enough for that. And as we got towards the end of the show, we also got to see a brand new GBYWN World Champion in Scott Henson. Oh my God, I can't believe it. This championship belt went all around the Midwest, went into the Northeast, went all the way to the United Kingdom, and is now going to Canada. How on earth did this happen, guys? This is backyard wrestling. How do we get a world title? A genuine world title is being thrown all over this country, all over this globe. I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. And I told Scott I really appreciate the fact that he is going to go and defend that title on behalf of this community and really gave a damn about it. And that kind of became a running theme for this weekend. I mean, Sam Jude cared so much about trying to make everyone proud by holding that title to prove that, he loved this community. That's really what the belt's about, representing the community. It's not about this fake GBYWN alliance and all that stuff. That's just a backdrop for our wrestling storylines. The true GBYWN is this community of people. And to have that belt just means, hey, you're a big part of that community and we love you for it. You're a milestone. You're a part of the backbone of this community and we thank you for it and we love you for it. And that's what that belt really represents. And I think no greater example ever came than at the end of day 2 of NYE. Over the years, I've seen it at all these shows. Everyone talks about backyard wrestling, and it's always in a wink and a nod, a little smile. Oh yeah, well, fuck you. It's backyard wrestling and it's fake, wrestling's gay. And you always see that, and it's always between the lines, the love we have for each other and the community, the bond we have in this group. And for some reason, I guess because maybe a lot of people thought it was really the end of an era and that we may never see each other and be in this exact spot ever again. And I believe that there may never be a time where we have such a gathering like that ever again. And the fact that we were all together there at that one moment, many people were in tears, many people were laughing, everyone was hugging, everyone was they were showing the love. It didn't matter. Backyard wrestling's gay, I'm tough. It didn't matter. It wasn't about the backyard wrestling. It was about the community. And it was about the love we all have, the brotherhood that we all have. People who have absolutely nothing in common outside of they like to wrestle a match in a ring in a backyard somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And they showed that brotherhood we have and that love we have. And so many tears, so much emotion, and it's still rocking people today. On Facebook, every single day, people were throwing up their appreciation of this community and to NYE and the people who ran it. And men like Marcus Centofonte, who really were the backbone and I still say they are the backbone of backyard wrestling, even if he's not booking. I believe that, truly. I believe that. And the fact that we got to finally embrace that emotion and that brotherhood. And it's not even just embracing it, it's showing it out in the open. Being able to go, it's all right to say, I love backyard wrestling, I love you guys, I love this community. It's not a gay thing or a dumb thing to say or a lame thing. It's not corny now. And I don't know how long that'll last, but the fact that we have that for this fleeting moment to be able to say, I love you guys, and this is cool with me. It's cool to say it out loud for a minute and show how much I appreciate it. I couldn't be happier. It's something I never thought I'd ever see in this community. And the fact that we see it right here, right now. It's something special, guys. So keep this in mind. Keep this show burned into your memory for the rest of your life. Even if you weren't there, watch the footage. Experience it. Secondhand if you must, but experience it, please. I hope people in the next generation, if it's a second GBYWN generation, if it's another whatever it's called, whatever the next generation calls themselves, if they adopt our system, whatever it may be, I hope they watch NYE4 and they understand what we had here and what they should have. Because that's good backyard wrestling, my friends. That is what backyard wrestling is all about. 150%, that is what backyard wrestling is at its core. And I want you guys to know, every single one of you listening to this podcast, I love you guys. I love you guys for listening. I love you guys for giving a damn. And I give a damn about you guys. And I hope you all know that. Alright, enough mushy stuff, guys. I'm sure you get enough of it on Facebook right now. Let's go to this episode's interview. The finale. Part 3, if you will, of this trilogy with none other than the leader of the Stepdads. This is Patric Wade Wilson.
This is also the first time I came to BXW, was around this time. They sold the base. I mean, I was there for PKM, took pictures of that, and I met a lot of people. But the first show I wrestled at was against Kyle Bolt in a mask. and he beat me. And then I came to Goodbye 2010 and wrestled Froggy, TJ, and Two Step.
I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
He's
I have
reading
it-
from a list of all the people he's wrestled in order.
I have an Excel
I'm like,
document
how
of
the
every
fuck
match I've ever been
How's
in.
your memory so good? I'm over here filling my thumbs like, Andrew, who did I wrestle here and there? Because Justin knows so fucking much. And
I have
he
a
tells
list.
me, and I'm like, wait, he has a fucking list. God
I have
damn
an
it.
Excel
I
document
would
of
be
every
like,
match I've ever been in.
Rad, I don't remember what happened from 10 to 13. Those
Yeah.
years.
I had a really fun match
At
with
all?
Froggy, TJ, and Two Step that I'd love to do again at some
What about
point.
you? Were you taking that too?
We did some really funny
God
ass
damn, I
shit.
gotta watch my old YouTube
That was
shit.
Well,
that was
here's-
actually
yeah. Here's the thing: we gotta talk about something from 2010, though. You and I got to meet in Las Vegas.
Did we already meet?
Yes,
At that point?
because in 2011 we had the match.
Oh, you're right. Well, let me start the build up with that at Goodbye. At Goodbye, we had Froggy versus TJ versus me versus Two Step, where we faked Two Step winning the GBYWN title. And then Rad Hazard gets on the phone and says, no, it's not a sanctioned title match. Because, and eventually it was revealed that it wasn't a sanctioned title match because Rad thought I sucked and was not worthy of getting a title shot.
That's
So
so
he-
funny. I remember that.
So Rad never okayed it as a title shot because a title match because I wasn't worthy of a title shot.
Everyone else was, but not him.
That's fair.
So that Two Step, it was my fault that Two Step didn't win the belt because I was in the match, even though I didn't win.
That's fantastic.
Then I met Rad Hazard. I was out in Vegas, and we hung out, and we started filming Backyard Wrestling Weekly as the host. We shot like 26 episodes of me as the host with Rad. And by the end of it, you could see we were getting visibly frustrated with each other. We started out as like friends, and then we got frustrated, and he fired me from the show. And I think was I fired because it was revealed that you thought I sucked and I didn't deserve a title shot, or was that like
I can't remember off the top of my. I think you quit.
something happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
Either I quit or you fired me, and it broke up. But pretty much the last episode with us breaking up aired right before our match. It all led into the match at BXW at PKM 2, where I finally was getting my revenge for you saying I sucked and you firing me or me quitting or whatever. And we had the match, and that was the match that got me the most over.
And it's all for the shares.
Yeah, you won the shares that I had earned shares in the GBYWN for hosting Backyard Wrestling Weekly,
Share 'em.
and you won them from me.
Well, technically I didn't because you won the match.
I would have bought some. Not imaginary.
Yeah, but didn't you get them, or did you just get the title back?
I just got the title back.
So do I still have the shares?
Yep, yeah, you do.
I still have shares in GBYWN?
Yep.
So what am I, poor too?
Sure.
Okay.
So does this mean absolutely nothing like everything else? Yep.
So Patric Wade Wilson's first title is the GBYWN United States Championship.
I'm
How do you feel
actually-
about that, Russ?
Yeah.
What?
Wait,
Did you know I'm a former U.S. champion?
Did you know that I never look into anything?
Patric Wade Wilson
Touche.
is a former U.S. champion. He held it for 2.5 minutes.
Oh man.
I held it for the entirety of
No,
the
I
promo.
don't remember.
It's shorter than your X Division reign.
No, it's not. My X Division reign's longer.
It's a whole match.
It was a whole match.
That's why I said I'm like your US reign was shorter than your X Division reign.
I'm retarded, Russ.
I know. That's why I reiterated.
It's on video. We'll be able to.
But that was, yes.
Going north.
Good. Have fun. Be safe. That was my dad leaving.
He hates me.
As he should.
That match was awesome, though. I love people mark. I've never seen people mark for me like in that match. There was just so much shit in that match. The Pride Driver. I mean, that match is the reason that the Pride Driver is my finisher now. Because I originally did the Pride Driver holding on. The first time I ever hit it on Danny, I used to hold
Yeah.
on to it.
I remember seeing you hit it like that.
Yeah, and then I wrestled Rad, and I tried to sit out with him, and he bucked his hips off my shoulder and flew off.
It was all me.
And landed on his fucking forehead.
Well, I don't think you guys realize this. I mean, we're not going to interview Rad, but I will tell you right now, he was the master pelvic thruster from 2005. So he used his pelvic thrusting powers.
It literally, it shocked me when it happened. If there was a camera on my face,
he's well hung.
people would have been like, I thought he was dead. I thought Rad had just committed suicide mid-maneuver. You head spiked on your forehead.
He had a stroke mid-pride driver.
and all you see is everybody flip out. Sky Bynes checks on you, which is hilarious to me. And
I love sitting in the audience right next to each other, Renegade and Joey T clapping.
Joey Tornado.
All they're doing is clapping.
Joey Tornado has a crazy look on his face, like, oh my god, that was nuts. Renegade is just like, yes, he's dead.
He's also one that yells, "Do it again!" when you're throwing a chair at me.
My other favorite mark out from that match is when you come after me on the bike to do a lariat, and I move and forearm you, and he got a bicycle, and I forearm you into the fence, and Gio St. Giovanni, who was at the show, flips the fuck out. He marked out so hard, and it's hilarious to watch.
And the funny part is, we did that entire spot for something that never happened.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I love the finish of that match. The best when I go for the raised edge bomb the first time, and my knee gives out, and you just see B Cube stand up and go, "Yes, psychology, yes."
And then I fucked it up.
Yeah.
By blowing you.
Yep. But that was that's still the match that a lot of people come up to me and they're like, that was crazy. That was the first time a lot of people saw me. And that match wasn't even... A lot of people didn't expect that match to be good at all. We were in the Divas spot on that show.
Oh, I know, yeah.
We were pre-Mike Damage and Don.
Because the funny thing is, we did the whole bicycle spot so Don could say, he got a bicycle, and he wasn't there.
Yep.
And they told me later that they were inside, didn't expect much for the match or nothing. And they just heard people going nuts. And I don't know if they ever looked out, but they just were totally confused of why we're doing well.
I always wondered if that played into their decision to move the match to the next day.
I don't think it did.
I think it was mostly that it was late.
Yeah.
But I like to say we main evented that show. We main evented PKM day one. It was my first main event match.
I like to say we main evented it.
Oh, I wasn't waving you off. I'm trying to get my fart to go over to you guys.
Thanks.
It's awful.
But also at the start of that year was the formation of Stepdads. It happened at Overbooking in 2011. And me and Danny wrestled each other. And we were being scouted by Eric Williams. And whoever won was supposed to become... Yes, I agree. And we won. We had a really good match. I think I won that match. I killed Danny.
You won every match you faced, man.
There you go. There's a streak for you, Rad.
Yes.
I'm undefeated against the guy who's undefeated at Resolution. Or Resolution. Yep.
Didn't you lose?
That's
an
Australian show.
Don't worry, 30 people comment on that.
I don't care about fucking Dark Ice. I don't give a shit.
Oh, that's so cruel.
Who's Dark Ice?
Yeah, exactly.
I was reading this document for all main contenders for titles. All Doc Holliday, PJ, Dark Ice. It's the greatest joke ever. And if it's not a joke, I am really sad inside.
So, me and Danny wrestle, and we both get scouted for the Eric Williams Association, the EWA, and we formed the Stepdads after that. Johnny Boy eventually got added, and me and Danny stopped going.
Because we didn't want to be in there in the first place.
We didn't want to be in it.
We liked each other.
The last time we were in the Eric Williams Association was at PKM when TJ wrestled Eric Williams, and I took one of the grossest bumps I ever took at that point was a lightning spiral on the outside, and then TJ Blade comes up and Danny's checking on me, and TJ Blade kicks Danny in the face for real. And I was like, Danny, how did that look? And Danny goes, I am so fucking mad at TJ right now.
I'm so pissed he kicked me in the face. All I do is checking on you.
Danny was still selling, but he's like, I am so fucking mad, I'm gonna murder TJ.
That hurt.
I don't think I've ever I was trying to sell and I was laughing so fucking hard.
What the fuck, you're laughing?
And then TJ takes his shirt off and joins the Eric Williams Association. That was the last time we were in it.
You're like, TJ's in, we're out.
Yep, we actually had our first tag match at WrestleFest 11 after that, against Sellers and Bolt. And I hated Sellers at that point.
Oh.
because Sellers almost murdered Danny twice in that match.
I see a trend happening here.
Hey, this time I hated him because of you getting hurt.
That was in the rain too.
It was in the rain, pouring
I
rain.
got it back. I gave him a big ass right hook.
He stomped you in the face in the corner, the drop kick in the face, and the Michinoku driver was just gross. And I didn't. The problem was
He was unsafe.
at that point in the match. Yeah, Sellers was really unsafe at that point. I actually took it out on Bolt because I didn't have any spots playing with Sellers at that point. I remember I went over the corner at one point and hit Bolt really hard with a forearm, and I knocked him off the apron, and he fell on those bricks in the corner where like the sound system is sometimes, or used to be. And he fell on those bricks and like cut his fucking side up. And then when we hit Sellers with the finish, I just let him die. I had him up for the Razor's Edge, and Danny hit the double knees, and I started to turn to see if Danny was coming. And if you watch the video, all you hear is B-Cube go. I start to turn around, and B-Cube goes, "Ah, he's coming!" and I turn and let Danny just murder him. I just drop him on his fucking head, and because I was so mad. Yeah, eventually later this year we almost kill Russ.
No, you didn't. I was fine.
I like to think we almost killed Russ.
Everybody likes to think so.
It's the grossest time we've ever hit it, and Russ was totally okay.
Yeah, it was the irony of
Who
it
did I
all.
ride the best? No homo.
TJ Blade.
TJ Blade, or was it Mike Davis?
Mike Davis.
Mike Davis was really good.
That was against
Danny's got his cowgirl hat on. Woo! Woo!
the
Yeah,
match where
Danny
Danny actually, because Danny always tries to ride the knees down to the ground.
But I have like normally roll off or.
Yeah, because all the time the guy flips.
Yeah.
So
I
Because
can't-
sometimes Danny hits them so hard that they just flip, and I can't ride
Dude,
it out.
I
I
straight
like perfect.
pendulum when
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
say that to me.
I like
But
it.
Which is the
What
case with
Davis
me. I
one
know
time.
I just flip
Yeah,
from
when we
the
gave it
force.
to Davis,
just
when we gave it to
straight bomb.
Davis, I actually went down with it, and Danny rode the double knees to the ground, and it was
Best-
awesome.
Best looking one.
And you know what match that was in? Me and Danny. That was actually day 2 of WrestleFest.
was,
Me and Danny versus Mike Davis and Chris Frank.
Chris Frank.
The match that you thought Danny and Chris Frank teamed? Yeah, that was that match.
No, Chris Irvin told me that. That was not me thinking about it.
Sure, Brad. Sure. You think about it all the time.
Yeah, right. I told you about Resolution.
I won't talk about it. After WrestleFest was we had a Tuesday EWA show.
What?
Yeah, it was around Easter.
I'll kindly have a show on Tuesday.
We had a Tuesday show.
Oh,
I wrestled Everett Cross. It's the worst singles match I've ever had. He
thought
planned
it was great.
he planned everything, and I forgot everything, and it was awful.
Who the hell is Everett Cross?
FX.
Who the hell is F? No, I'm just kidding.
We wrestled him today,
It's a
Russ.
television station.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a TV show.
You know when you black out from like rape trauma?
The funny thing is, the week after that was. you just earned another 3 months on your U.S. title reign from Rad
Somebody
Hazard.
tell Don.
Yeah, 3 months. That's about right.
I was supposed to lose it today. They wouldn't book me in a match.
After that, I wrestled Dynamite Davis at EWA. Probably my favorite ring match to that point I had had. I liked wrestling Mike Davis, even though a lot of people, I don't know, some people don't like him. I love Mike Davis. He's always super cool to me, and we had good chemistry when we wrestled.
I never had any problem.
Yeah, same for me. I like
I don't know. You know, there's some people who just, I don't know. I'm not making this up. I know there are people.
No, there are.
Yeah.
I don't
Dude,
know why,
there's gotta
to
be
be honest.
people out there that absolutely hate me, Robbie Roller. But, you know, it happens.
But I had an awesome match. The finish of the match was, at that point, I think I was mostly doing the Wade Whacker, the face buster,
Complete shot.
the flatliner, whatever the fuck it is. And I did it to him in the ropes. I held him in the ropes like Randy Orton holds people in the ropes for the
No,
DDT.
thank you.
So I had him in the ropes like the Orton DDT, and I fucking killed him. And he was like hanging in the ropes
They're all
after head
funny.
spiking.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
And all I remember was
I got you.
Frank, Eddie Idol. Eddie Idol came up to me after the match, and he goes, "I want you to do that to me outside the ring. I don't drink soda, so no thank you."
Okay.
I haven't had a soda since NYE2.
oh
Yeah, but
yeah,
that's
I
also
totally
something
forgot
you
about that.
Yeah.
Really?
And the only reason I had a soda at NYE2 is because the water wasn't cold yet.
So what's the reasoning for not having soda anymore? Just,
Just cut it out of my diet.
that's fair.
I've lost some weight due to it, so you
Well, I
it's a
know.
plus.
That's great.
Yeah. I am aware.
I don't know. I'm trying
I mean,
to think
I
of
don't
other stuff
have
that happened around that time. Oh, I skipped something in 2010.
Measuring tape.
We were talking about this earlier. One of my favorite finishes I've ever come up with for a match. Me versus Tommy Guns Coburn, where I had Tom in a Razor's Edge bomb, and Danny, his partner at the time, comes out and hits Tom in the face with the belt.
Hold on, I want to explain one thing though. I didn't want to interrupt, but this bugs me.
Yeah.
R2D2
And Tom.
is Ryan Ragnarok, Daniel Devine, and Tommy Guns Coburn.
That's silent. That part is silent.
Yeah, the Tommy...
Is he the
Is
is he the space between the R2 and D2?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
C3PO.
he's
like the
he's,
gay one.
he's a silent Guns.
It's just silent.
He was shoehorned in there
It's
later
there,
on.
just in
Okay.
But we had spots in that match. Ragnarok came out at one point, tried to trip me while I had Tom in a World's Strongest Slam position. And he came out and grabbed my leg, and I actually fell forward and ended up World's Strongest Slamming Tom. Like everything R2-D2 in the match did to try to help, ended up hurting Tom. And eventually Danny comes out and just hits Tom in the face with the belt as I'm about to hit him with the Razor's Edge.
Right.
And I go for the pin, and the ref's like, no, you're disqualified. And I'm like, why? What the hell happened? And it was because Danny hit Tom in the face with the belt. So Tom beat me and kept the belt. I always thought that was such a heel maneuver.
He keeps the belt, and he wins the match.
Everybody at,
DQ.
everybody at the show didn't understand it, but I thought it was hilarious.
It's better than Justin
I
winning
think it's
via
great.
DQ. The Tom will.
I did some JWA in between those 2 years. JWA at DeMorris' house. And I had some fun little matches.
That was pre-TTW, right? Like, that's...
Yeah, I think ETW was like not running at that time.
I see.
I wrestled, it was the first time I met Johnny Boy. I wrestled Johnny Boy at one of those shows. I've still never seen it. Funny story about this. I wanted to see it for the longest time.
Oh, that wasn't a story?
And Johnny Boy kept telling me, oh, I'm going to send it to you, I'm going to make a music video or whatever.
Dude, I'm gonna send it to you, dude.
You know the
I remember
story?
you mentioning this.
He kept telling me he was going to send it to me.
Dude.
At goodbye this past year, Johnny Boy goes, I was like, I had stopped asking for it. It wasn't that great. I mean, at the time I thought it was great because I wasn't that good yet. And looking back at it now, it probably would have been terrible. But we did some fun spots in the match, and I would have loved to have seen it. And this year, goodbye, literally this past year, 2013, Johnny Boy goes, dude, I lost that match like 3 years ago. That's why I
I
never...
was just talking to him about it, like he was just in a conversation with me, like, oh man, there's this awesome match I have with Johnny Boy, which was not the situation at all. He just walks up and strolls up and says, oh man, I've been meaning to tell you this for a while. That footage for a match I lost it 3 years ago, and me and Marshall just look at each other, and Marshall's like, I figured as much.
That's a great impersonation, too.
It was
Throw a few dudes in there.
dude, I lost the match like 3 years ago. I was like, oh, Johnny Boy, it's okay.
He ends with
I forgot.
It was so funny. I wrestled Triple R around this time too. At Not WrestleFest 2, I wrestled Triple R. We did a whole promo from Boy Meets World with Joey the Rat versus Corey. I've still never seen it,
I'm gonna have to
but
like this.
I got Triple R to kind of come out of his shell. He never did like anything crazy, and to him crazy is like bumping on the outside. So I remember slamming him on the outside and like brawling with him and really fucking laying into him with some shots. And he enjoyed it. We did some cool stuff. It wasn't great, but it was fun. Anything? I don't know. A lot of people thought I killed Danny. Because didn't you like stop wrestling for a while after this?
During
Is this when you had like the health problems?
yeah.
That was why we stopped going to BXW as a team. And I remember there's a comment on...
Well, I couldn't make it, and then you're like, well, fuck it, I'm not gonna go.
There's a video of me and Danny's match. There's a music video of it. And there's one comment on it from Prime Time. And it's like, maybe that headlock where you threw him out of the ring is when Danny like hurt his spleen or something. It's like...
Oh yeah, and then he was constantly blaming you every time you guys saw each other.
And I was like, I don't think that's what's wrong with Danny.
Like for years, he was just like, oh, you hurt Danny.
But I'll let Danny tell about his health problems if he wants to later.
I'm a Leo.
That is a health problem. At least you're not a cancer.
That was the joke Russ filled in.
Seinfeld thing.
We're a comedy duet.
I'll do it.
So I wrestled Rad.
With you.
I'll do it, all of it.
One thing I did skip. One thing I skipped at the end of 2010 is the first time I went to BKW and met Patric Tietzel.
How could you forget that?
That was
experience I've ever heard.
That was the show where Tietzel rode his bike 2 hours in the snow to the show.
What?
I was at that. Did you know that story?
No.
Tietzel rode his bike 2 hours to the show.
After
I
he
did
had,
not know that.
And he actually rode past the house and missed it at one point.
yeah,
Once
he
you
had,
hear
he
the
had a
story,
major argument with the guy he was
I remember
in the
like I was
Fed with.
LT Snake.
Huh?
Wasn't it LT Snake?
LT Snake.
LT Snake,
Lieutenant
yeah.
Snake.
No, LT Snake.
And like,
I'm sorry.
It's not Lieutenant.
Not lieutenant. We don't know what the
they had this
stands
huge
for.
falling out, and he was like, "I don't care, I'll do whatever to get here." Blah blah. Blah. And that was him telling me a story about it because I wasn't at this show.
Yeah.
And
I remember laughing so hard at it. I called Ian. I was like, Ian, you're not gonna believe this shit. This dude wrote his bites of the fucking show. And we did a spot where it was me, TJ, and Joe versus EA Static, Zeke, and Jack Diesel in his first match ever. And we did a spot where Zeke and TJ kept reversing Irish whips until TJ took an Irish whip into Tietzel's bike. And
Awesome.
I was laughing hysterically, and Zeke thought it was hilarious, and everyone thought it was hilarious, and Tietzel just ran over and checked on his bike. I wrestled actually twice at that show. I also wrestled a 4-way with TJ Cena, TJ Blade, and Sean O'Mora.
Oh, I was waiting for another TJ.
Likes me back just like a
And
challenge.
and we did a SmackDown vs Raw match. It was super fun. But that was Revolution. It was called Revolution with a B because Tietzel came out for his entrance in a shirt that was supposed to say Revolution, and he misspelt it Revolution on his shirt. So we called the show Revolution.
Yeah.
Wow.
At that show, two dream matches.
Rebel had a show named after him.
2 dream matches.
Right, Rebel.
Absolute dream matches that happened at that show. Patric Tietzel versus TJ Cena.
I'm done.
Battle of the Wits.
And Patric Tietzel versus Marcus Centofonte.
You wrestled twice.
That was in a gauntlet.
Oh.
But that was the first time I went there. And the only reason I thought about that is because not long after PKM is Tietzelmania 2. Tietzelmania 2, I wrestled Tyrant, Joe Hall, and PJ for the first time. And we had a fun ass. I killed Tyrant. Their Tyrant was awesome. A finish to the match. These guys, if you hear laughing, it's because these guys are Tindering and making fun of ugly
What
women.
the hell?
There's a fat lady with sausage around her neck. She's wearing sausages.
Okay, I'll tell you what, you guys can't see
Feet
this
are
on-
connected.
but this lady on Tinder is super fat and has sausage wrapped around her neck like a necklace.
Oh my god, I'm gonna like her.
She's gonna eat Danny.
You just got Danny wrapped around her neck. Shit.
What? 2 minutes from now. Oh, you have a connection.
The best part about the match at Tietzelmania, we opened the show. It was a 4-way. We could have made it elimination, but no. The finish was PJ Matthews super kicks all of us, puts us all on top of each other in a 3-way pin, and leaves. So the winner of the match was everyone but PJ Matthews.
What an idiot. That sounds like him.
Yeah.
It's just like him.
He didn't care. He walked out, he's like, I don't care about this
Super
match.
kicked and he leaves.
And everybody won but him.
Loser.
I thought that was really funny. Way funnier than had it been an elimination and we all just lost. I think it's funnier that everybody but PJ won.
It's a 3-way tie and a 4-way dance.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever happened.
I've never heard of that before.
It's an awesome finish.
In any
though.
other
I
match.
remember it.
That sounds good.
Oh, around the same
Yeah.
time,
Four-way dance.
EWA ended for a while because we lost the ring in 2011. And my last match in the ring was against Cyprus, and it sucked. It was horrendous. It was a beat the clock match, and we went to a draw. And to this day, I keep track of my record just for shits and giggles, and it's the only fucking draw on my record. And every time I have to put that end 1 at the end, I fucking hate
Who's it
Cyprus
against?
even more.
Cyprus? Oh, he's awesome.
Cyprus is a nice.
He's
I like
he's
Cyprus.
nice. He's nice.
We had no chemistry. I
Yeah.
hated wrestling him.
His ring crap was crap.
I also wrestled Hybrid around this time at an 80s show, and Hybrid won after he hit me with an inflatable guitar. That's a thing that happened.
Fun.
I don't know. After that, we won the tag. Me and Danny won the tag titles. In a handicap match against Mike Williams.
The Northeast tag titles.
Northeast tag
at
titles.
JSW, right?
Oh, did I get hurt?
Jersey Shore Wrestling.
JSW.
Yeah.
Didn't they hurt me?
Danny got hurt like 4 times in that match.
Yeah.
I stopped. Like, I was like, oh.
Danny just gave up. It was really hot, and Mike
Oh,
Williams.
I was having a shoulder problem too.
Yep. And you were fucking Ragnarok.
I remember you being very...
Yeah, I was over there. doing
You were being nursed back
charades.
to health.
See, I remember you being very proud of the finish, though. Because you feigned
this
an
look like?
injury or something,
sexy
if I remember right.
The finish of the match. The finish of the match was. It was super hot out.
Wheelbarrow, but you know what?
And this was also, my finish was a shoot at Mike Williams. We're in the match, and I call for water, and I start acting like I'm having a heat stroke in the ring. And I think Danny comes up and rolls up Mike Williams from behind.
I do.
Because at the end of 2010, we had a show in October where Mike Williams said he had a heat stroke. And the hot people showed up. The ambulance showed up at the show. We thought we were going to get shut down.
Wow.
I had actually left already. My buddy Max was at the show. It was his first EWA show he ever came to. He's been to a few. And we left to go over to the Galaxy Diner. And it was like me, Joe, TJ, and Max had left already. And someone calls, TJ's in my car. Or Joe. I don't even remember which one it was at this point. But they call and they're like, you have to come back. Mike Williams is having a heat stroke and the ambulance is showing up. And all I remember was we were at the Galaxy already. And I just go, I swear to God, if I get there and he's walking around and he's not on a stretcher, I'm going to run him the fuck over. We get all the way back there and he's getting put in an ambulance over heat stroke in October. And all I remember... yeah,
I've got the foliage stroke. Oh God, there's too many leaves around me. So exhausted.
That's also the show.
Even my
At
toes are
that
heat.
show, the EWA ring broke.
What?
Yeah. I think it happened actually at Elite.
It was a suicide.
But this was not at Elite. This was friggin'
I can't take
something.
it anymore.
This was like a show
Oh,
held at EWA that wasn't EWA. It was some fucking nonsense. I don't even remember. Not Rage. I don't even know. I don't care. It was
The TWF?
Oh, TWF,
Show?
Day of Destiny.
Day of Destiny, yeah.
Oh, I totally skipped over Rage. That's Brandon Balatoni's stuff. I went to a show there in the winter.
It's not necessary.
The only thing that's important about that show, I wrestled JAC and Crazy Pete. First time I met Crazy Pete in Primetime and C4, those guys. The only thing that matters about that show was the entranceway was on a huge hill and it was covered in ice, and it was a triple threat. And my opening was I came out. I was the third person to come out, and I fell down the hill and hurt and was I was not moving at the bottom of it. And Crazy Pete and JAC just started the match without me. It was planned, but it was hilarious. I thought it was taken directly from the entrances in SmackDown, where the person falls and rolls down the ramp.
Which is awesome.
It has some really great entrances.
Actually.
It's so terrible.
Yeah. After that is me and Danny had we defended the belts for the first time at
That's the GBYWN Northeast tag
belts.
team titles.
BYG 6.
Oh, okay.
BYG 6 was huge. That was the first huge show I went to, and I mean I had been to WrestleFest, but
Yeah, but I don't remember which one BYG6 is.
we wrestled you, Russ.
Okay.
That's when we gave you
That's when...
the finish where everybody thought
I
you died.
guess I hit you too hard.
No, that was just, I don't
My name?
remember the name of BYG6 because I remember it as
I get
Wrestle the
Wrestle-
Stepdads twice.
I get WrestleFests and
Oh, no, not the
BYG
Stepdads. Purple Haze.
confused.
My bad.
I get BYG
Yeah.
and WrestleFest confused all the time.
So BYG 6 was in the church in Mount Carmel. I stayed at Tony Deppin's house, which is the highlight of that. Some of the most fun I've ever had.
Get yourself out, Russ. Jesus.
Some of the most fun I've ever had at a show was hanging out on Tony Deppin's front
Oh, that was
porch
my knee popping.
with MX5. And it's the first time I
That
met
sound
him.
just now, that was me going like this.
JC
cracking my
Penney.
knee.
I think my
Um,
ear just popped. It's
Steve,
making a high-pitched buzzing noise.
Mike Wonder. We were all hanging out. We were all the people who weren't going back to the venue to drink. And it was just so fun hanging on the porch and talking until 4 or 5 in the morning or whatever. But the show was great for me. I loved my 2 matches at the time. I made music videos for both. I opened day 1 against Tony and Joey Tornado. And I was the most nervous I've ever been for a match. And it came out really good. I was really happy with how it came out. And because I was scared shitless. It was a whole bunch of people at this show that were the Link guys that I had never met before. It's
That
the
was
first.
my same problem too.
It was the first time I had wrestled in front of a bunch of people I didn't know in a long time, and it was Maverick
BYG6.
and Ace Jack, and I knew of these guys. I maybe had met them once or twice, but
I never met any of those dudes.
yeah, I think Andy and Arbo were there.
No, that show was
Oh,
the first
yeah.
time I met him.
Agreed. Same for me.
Andy and Arbo. I think Rigger was there.
Yep.
Yeah, and all the LWF guys.
Rigger rubbed my belly.
Jonah.
Jonah was there. I knew Jonah though. I had driven with Jonah to a show before.
Yeah. Scott, do you just think that?
Yeah,
But-
I never met Jonah.
But
Baker.
Loco and those guys, Airborne Extreme. I had never
Same.
met any of those guys. So I was scared. Half the crowd was a bunch of Link guys that were good, and I had never met them. or didn't really know them. And I opened the show, and Kale started us out, and we were the opener, and it came out really good, and people loved it, and people came up after me and were saying good match. And day 2, we had to follow Don and Andy, and that was really nerve-wracking. I was just as nervous for that match as...
Ain't nothing but that.
I remember, like, both of those matches, me and Danny, I remember Danny being nervous, and the match the day before, I remember Tony Deppen being nervous, which I was shocked about. But we were in the back like, fuck, this is going to be... And day 1, we had set up...
I hate following matches like that. That's
we had set
ridiculous.
up the match for day 2 on day 1. We actually did like a little storyline thing, because it was the Cartel versus Purple Haze in the finals of this gauntlet, and it was to face us on day 2. And Purple Haze, we screwed Purple Haze out of the match for the Cartel. And then day 2, they booked Purple Haze versus me and Danny.
It made perfect sense.
And so we were like, no, the Cartel had to be in this match, and we made them win.
They were just going to do you guys in Purple Haze?
Yes.
That's fucking obnoxious.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
So
because we wanted to wrestle them.
So yeah, so we put it into a 6-man, and everybody says, like, at the start of the match, there was a good luck match 2 chant at the end of Don and Andy. And after the match, a lot of people came up to us and said, you guys, like, really did a good match. Like, the show started to go down after that.
Dude, the only thing that really concerned me about that match is that Richie kept wanting to do the same exact move.
Yes.
Over.
Yeah.
Over.
Do you know who he did it to?
Danny. The one thing I'll say, though, is we found different ways to get him... Like,
why do you think Martel had me teaming with him? Because it's like, hey, all right, you want to keep throwing the same move? We're going to have you end up in the same different position.
There were so many cool double teams in that in that match.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
There were some really fun spots that we did.
I planned the Vengeance TKO.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, the
one
handshake?
the most pride I took in that match.
Yeah.
You said roaring handshake. I'm
almost
like, just walk in.
The most pride I took in that match was that me and Danny came up with a lot of spots and a lot of the structure of the match. Like, that's a match where every tag was like the legal man was always in at the right time.
Yep.
Like, we made sure that like everybody who was a legal man was in at the right time because we did legal man spots and they turned out good. And we killed Russ at the end. We hit Russ with the double knees.
Sure
and
did.
Everybody lost their minds. If you watch the video, Kenny Storm fucking flips out.
Kenny Storm, I think it's Kenny Storm, Brody, and Martel are
And
all
Trey.
in the
And
Trey
Trey.
are all in the corner. And it's just
the Tree of Joy Lawrence, the
That also got
off the
overused.
top hesitation dropkick.
Yeah, the
right before
whisper
that.
or the whisper in the that's whisper in the wind.
It was
No, what the hell did Poetry in Motion?
poetry.
Poetry in Motion
Yeah,
with
off your
the
back.
Tree of Woe,
Yeah.
and people lost their minds for that too. That match was just awesome. People loved it, and we followed a really hard match, and I thought we killed it. I was very like I'll always love everybody in that match because of that before that match. Like I'll
Dude.
wrestle anybody that was in that match anytime.
that match pretty much got people to start
Noticing a lot
me.
of us.
Yeah, like me and you guys, and just like hell, even freaking
Pete.
Vengeance and
Yeah.
TKO.
All of us.
TKO.
And
Yeah.
Richie even started to get better bookings after that.
No,
all of us.
absolutely. Yeah, all of us in general. Like it was
That match elevated all of us big time.
Like Richie is by far one of the only people from Amsterdam that I wouldn't mind still teaming with right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind wrestling with you.
Yeah,
That was just
because he's willing to do whatever.
Yeah.
that was just fun as hell. And then
That was definitely turning a crappy booking into an awesome dope ass match.
yeah, I know.
And it wasn't even necessarily a crappy booking. It was just it didn't make any sense with the structure built up.
The one
towards it
thing
the day
I
before.
know was if we didn't go early on the show, we were trying to get B Snow and Rick to get in a match with us, and because they were the world champs at the
we
time.
weren't over enough, brother.
And we almost got if we weren't gonna go
We were
second.
supposed to beat him like 100 times before, right?
Yeah.
Like they were supposed to have wrestled him 1,000 times.
I don't know if you
Never
guys
showed.
know this. Originally, they were talking like Maverick and Ace Jack were talking about trying to be in our match.
That's what I was about to say. Had we not gone second, because Maverick was still like kind of hungover, and Ace Jack was kind of I don't know if he was hungover too, but they didn't want to wrestle second. Had we been later on that show, I had to leave. Me, Brody, and Tom left early.
Which happens.
Yeah. Had we been later on that show, Ace Jack and Maverick wanted in our match, but we had to go early, so we didn't get a chance to have them in the match. I don't know how it would have turned out with the extra team in it, but I would love to have wrestled those guys.
I think it would have been probably enhanced.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. I don't know what we
I
would
see what
have.
you're saying. You don't know how it would have turned out because it probably would have been ridiculous.
Exactly, Russ.
Gotcha.
But it's just it would have been interesting to see how those guys added to that match because I love those guys.
Yeah.
And then the next big thing after that is NYU won. NYU won. I started day one on Team EWA with Demorest.
Side note, before you go further on,
Sure, Russ.
when the hell did we meet?
I think we met at BY. No, we had to have met at Elite in 2010.
Oh,
Because that was when you tagged with Beefy.
Yeah.
That'll be part of another interview.
You're a
entirely.
great stable maker.
But I don't know if we talked much at that show. I think we definitely.
No, I didn't, because I believe I hung out with Jed, Brody. Like, we went down to the Derek's Tubes, and
The Derek tubes, yes.
yes.
I'm all aware of the
The
Derek
quest for Derek.
We found him.
But we definitely hung out a lot more at BYG6.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that was when we really got to like.
Start clicking and shit.
Yeah. And like I said, the next big thing after that is NYE. I was Team EWA with Demorest and TJ. We lost in the first round of the trios tournament, but I broke Ben's leg. And I just want to clear the record here for anyone who thinks I broke Ben's leg because I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't want to do the spot. Ben was like, "Do a flip."
He's fragile.
Because
He's
this was when I
fragile.
used to be doing my flip off the apron and stuff. And he's like, "Okay, do the flip, and we'll put our knees up and block it." So I was like, "Okay, that sounds really scary. That it's a dumb idea." So I did the flip, and I hit. Ben was too close to me, so I hit him first, and I broke his leg because I flipped directly into him, and the only person taking the blow was him. And he was done after that. But they won the match. He finished that match with a broken leg, and he TTYL'd the shit out of some TJ,
It's
I
all
think.
adrenaline, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he was TTYLing people with a broken leg. That
Right back
bastard's
down,
fucking crazy.
broken leg.
But the next day, he comes out on crutches, and they add me to that team in his place with Murph and PJ. And we did the last two matches. We had some really fun stuff in the finals, I thought, where Danny drives the car down the
That
hill.
was some of the best stuff there.
I thought that was super funny. Danny drives because it made sense to get Danny out.
Doc was the worst backseat driver during that. You're so upset.
We threw Auburn and Doc in the car, and Danny drove them up the hill out of the yard. And the reason we did that was to set up that I would be left alone
That'll be
after,
there.
because Ben hops out and throws them in, and Danny drives away, and then probably the northeast hits me with a trophy and kicks the shit out of me and blames me for hurting Ben.
Auburn runs back down the hill.
Yeah, fucking Auburn runs back down the hill.
Doc
But
makes me drop
the whole idea was to get Danny out of the yard, so because it would look stupid if they beat the shit out of me and Danny's just like standing there. So it made perfect sense to get him out of there, and we finally got that trophy back at New Era this year. There's a picture of me, PJ, and Murph holding it. But that was fun. That was like the first big thing I ever won or got booked in other than
that
tag
was-
titles.
Oh, is it?
Hilarious.
Well, technically, Auburn stole the trophy, and we brought it to Connecticut.
Yes, I knew
Yeah.
that.
We stole it. Like, Auburn's just like, guys, we're like, what? I stole the trophy! And we're like, oh my god, you're terrible!
Auburn likes to steal stuff. Pants, trophies. I think he still has B-Cube's pants.
Ironic that he's responsible for punching Puckstuffer in the face for stealing something.
Those have all been
No,
passed,
he
bro.
slapped him in the face so hard he knocked him out.
That's fantastic.
They chopped him in the face.
I really like if there's one thing that involved any WCW person that I ever witnessed in my life, that would be the moment that I wish I saw. And I
Oh
did.
man, one thing I totally forgot to bring up in a few years, I don't know if it had to be like 2010, is when Don and Puckstuffer came to TWF.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That was-
the middle of the
in
night, they came to
2010.
TWF. Don wrestled Ragnarok,
That's a great combination.
Puckstuffer wrestled somebody, but they came together. And TWF drove up to fucking
Yeah,
them.
Williams, right?
Williams, Vengeance, I think, was with them. They drove up to fucking upstate New York, picked up Don and Puckstuffer, and drove back to here in the middle of the night.
Yep.
But they didn't have a way to drive them home. Mike Williams didn't have gas money to drive them back home. So I'm at work. This had to be 2010 because it was when I was working
Oh,
that job.
it was definitely mid 2010. Yeah.
It was when I was working that job that I couldn't go to EWA. Brody calls me and Brody goes, "Dude, Don just called me and he's freaking out. He's stuck in Jersey and he doesn't want to stay with Mike Williams because he's pissed at him." And I ended up having Don and Puck Stuffer stay at my house.
Wow. In this very room?
No, not it was my old house.
Thank God. Did you burn it down?
Not
Not because of Don, of course.
No, nothing got stolen though. I was very surprised. Puck Stuffer did not steal
That
anything
you
from
know
my
of.
house. Well, I'm pretty sure he didn't steal anything. I would have noticed by now. But that was like what got me closer with Don, because I pretty much saved his friggin' existence. And then I drove him up to
And
North.
Mike Williams.
I drove him up to North Jersey to get a bus home the next day.
Jesus Christ.
I think I even lent them money to get home because they didn't have enough money to take
Yeah,
the bus home.
I believe that was the issue too, because Stuffer, of course, had no money at all.
No, Stuffer had $1.
I would stuff food in his ass.
Couldn't even
they
afford a
needed-
fucking dollar menu item.
His grandma gave
Why bring
his
$1?
grandma gave him $1. She's like, "Have fun. Here's $1." And no,
What
She
is
thought
it,
he was going to the
20s? Like,
penny
how's that
candy
gonna
store.
save you?
I remember they
I got
needed
$1.
Mike Williams needed to get gas on the way back to Jersey, and Puck Stuffer chipped in 50 cents, and kept the other 50 cents just in case. By the
Don't
time they
spend all
actually
in
got to
place.
my house,
You never know when you can find that random one payphone.
and Puck Stuffer he left his fucking phone at the venue, and the TWF venue was the woods, so we had to go back there in the middle of the night to get his phone.
And that's deep in the woods, isn't it?
It's like a mile into the woods.
Yeah.
I would have said, fuck it, it's gone. Did you end up finding it?
They found it.
No.
But by the time we got back to my house, we went to Wawa to get food at like 1 in the morning. And Puck Stuffer ordered I don't even remember what it was. It was the weirdest fucking sandwich of all time. Brody would know. Fuck it. I'll ask him one day. If you ask Brody what fucking Puck Stuffer ordered,
Why
it was
isn't
gross.
Brody here?
I don't know.
What a dick.
I don't know. Did he just text me? He might have just texted me. He did not text me.
What a dick.
What a dick.
Hey, send him a text. Tell him to text you right now.
Somebody else texted.
Text me now.
Text me.
Dude.
So I can say you texted me.
I don't think anybody notices that I travel a ton. I don't have anybody's phone number at all.
Oh, neither do I.
Nobody from Jersey. I
I'm the
don't
one
have
person
your
that
number. I
travels
don't
from-
have your number. I don't have your number. Like,
I don't know. Russ.
I'm like the one person that travels from
Internet.
I like to think Russ lives in the 1900, like the 19
Me
early
too.
1900s.
Where's the mustache?
do you know how much it hurt my finger to sit there and put that in a rotary phone?
So where the hell are we? We're at the end of 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how EWA shut down.
Oh,
Because there's a whole story behind that, right?
oh yeah. The ring was Bose's ring. It still is Bose's ring. Bose bought the ring, and fun fact about that. I remember when he said he was going to buy the ring because we had a show at EWA that was invaded by these South Jersey guys, G Fatal, Strife. It was the first time we met like Strife and G Fatal and Pete, and these two. There was this tag team called Sticks and Clips. They were these two black guys. We still to this day refer to them as Sticks and Scooter. They were awful. But these guys showed up at TJ's house, and TJ just texted me and goes, "Please get to my house. There's a whole bunch of people in my yard that I don't know." They commented on our videos, and they were like, "We'd love to come to EWA sometime." And TJ was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." And they just showed up. They didn't tell us.
Backyard
They
wrestling.
just showed up. And two of them were War and Peace, who we hated for a long time, and Kid Kyle. And we had 3 rules in the yard. No blood. No glass. Don't break our shit. Oh, and don't wrestle in the front yard.
Fair enough.
So they come in, and Kid Kyle and War and Peace have this death match where Kid Kyle blades. They break light tubes on each other. They take they brawl out into the front yard, and they were going to do a spot and break our ladder, and Joe Hall just walks in, takes the ladder, and leaves. But at that show, there was a match between G Fatal and this guy, Killer Deathwish, who I will never forget.
First of all, what a name.
Tim goes up to him and says, he looked like Raven. And Tim goes up to him and goes, "Hi, can I call you Raven?" And he goes, "No, you can call me Killer Deathwish." And I was like, that's the greatest response of all I've ever heard. He was driven to the show by his mom, who hit on Tech the whole time.
Oh, she has low standards. And high standards. And facial
he now wrestles in...
I'm pretty!
He now wrestles in NWS as the Jersey Kid. And,
JK.
I was standing... It was the first time I met Bose. We're standing in the driveway watching this match happen between G Fatal and Killer Deathwish. And Killer Deathwish goes for... Or, no, it had to be... It's Strife. was striking Killer Deathwish because G Fatal did a run in. We're standing in there, and Bose is telling me about how he's going to buy a ring and probably put it in our yard. And this was like a year before it happened. And Killer Deathwish goes for a shooting star press. It took Bose really long to tell me about this ring because we kept getting interrupted by laughter. Killer Deathwish missed 3 straight shooting star presses.
Oh, jeez.
It's his actual move.
He missed it off the base, then pulled the guy closer and missed, and pulled him onto the base and still missed. And me and Bose were laughing so hysterically that he couldn't finish telling me that he was buying a ring. But he buys the ring, we have it in the yard for a while, and all of a sudden UWA is going to start back up. We actually had their guy, Dave Swan, the guy who books there, was helping TJ book and run stuff. And he started to take over in EWA.
Yeah, did he like forcibly start booking, or
he kind of started like pushing TJ out of the way a little bit. He was supposed to just help TJ run the shows. Like, so TJ could book, and Swan would be like, this match get ready, this match get ready. If you have a question for TJ, run it to me, and if I don't have an answer, I'll give it to TJ.
So you got your matchmaker and your showrunner.
Yeah. And he started to take over and push stuff, and...
Because it didn't really hit me, because I'm just watching, until the tag tournament.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, this is UWA stuff now. What's going on?
This is actually when I had my short-lived part in Tech's army or whatever, which was my idea. A lot of people think that I was forced into that of being like Tech's lackey because he was King Tech,
right?
And we were like his knights, me and Matt Static. And a lot of people think
I actually thought that was kind of cool.
A lot of people thought
I thought it was creative.
And it was fun, and I got to do a really cool heel turn promo where I called Ashley a slut mid promo, but it was a good promo.
That's because you're not lying.
Yes. Well, she interrupted my promo, and I told her if I wanted to open my mouth, I would have dropped my pants first. So that happened.
So great.
But I did my heel turn, and it was awesome, and I loved it. And we were doing some really funny stuff. Like, we were a really funny, like, comedy. Like, we were serious, but we'd also do some comedy stuff. I remember Tech getting, like, losing in a match, and I remember picking him up and, like, fanning him with his jacket, which was also my idea. The King Tech, the jacket that he wears, his, like, Napoleon jacket.
Yeah, the Napoleon jacket.
Totally my idea.
Really?
Yeah.
That actually surprises me.
I told him to order that from eBay. I told him you need to get like a Napoleon jacket because it'd be so cool for you.
It fits him so well.
Yeah, I think he actually stole it.
What?
They used to wrestle at the Darris Theater, which was like a theater for like acting.
Okay.
And I think he found that jacket in the back somewhere, and took it.
Wow.
But it was such a good. It fit him so well. It might have actually been his second jacket. I think he ordered one and he got a second jacket, and that was the one he took.
Okay.
But we did some funny stuff where I'd like carry him out of the arena or like fan him and stuff. It was fun. But it ended so quickly because of EWA shutting down. UWA came back, they took the ring, they put it in Roach's yard. They ran a few shows there, and then they started doing the pro stuff.
How do you feel about all of that going down?
I fucking hated all of them. I hated Swan because the way he tried to take over. I hated Tech because he was a fucking dick at the time. I hated fucking Sean Damage McNellis because he told me I was the worst wrestler he's ever seen. I had really no ill will against Bose. I've always liked Bose. There was a lot of guys that rubbed me the wrong way with that. They like seemed to really be all about moving it to UWA and taking our ring away, and it just seemed like they didn't care about EWA. It seemed like they were using EWA as a way to get new wrestlers for UWA. With the way it all went down. Yeah. Because it was like they were trying to test run it to see if it would work and steal these guys and bring them over, which a lot of the guys they did. Demorse was there for a while, G Fatal, TKO, a lot of EWA guys went over there.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was kind of shitty.
Well, I'm sorry.
But then we came back at the end of the year and we had Elite on the shitty base that Mike Damage hated. It sucked. That base sucked. I mean, it was just mostly wood. But that was when me and Danny lost the Northeast Tag titles with a swerve of Andrew Wright. Andrew Wright came out. I think Danny died like 4 times in that match. Yeah. Danny, didn't you get like jawbreakered like really hard and you almost got killed in that match like 4 times? Murph and PJ.
Murph and PJ. The wheelbarrow, the lung blower.
You got in the face.
Instead of PJ putting the knees to my chest, he put it directly on my face.
Yeah.
And I came down and bit my whole mouth.
But the turn
I bit my
came to
mouth, which is impossible to do if you think about it. I bit my mouth.
That was
stretched you outside the bounds.
that
That
match.
match throughout my whole entire mouth.
Yeah, that match was a gauntlet
No wonder
match.
you were
I was
hurt.
hungry.
That was a gauntlet
I
match.
was
that
hungry
ended,
for me.
That gauntlet match ended with we thought we were the last team, and then they had a mystery team come out after we eliminated PJ and Murph,
Jesus.
and Andrew Wright came out and brain chops me, and his tag partner is PJ Matthews, who's already in the ring behind us, takes us out, wins the belt, gives the belts to Andrew and Ben.
Now,
Purple.
whose idea was passing
Give them the belts?
Yeah.
Mine. The original idea was going to be that I think the rumor was that Don and Two Step were supposed to win the titles from Rick and Snow by this point.
I
Yeah,
believe
and
so, yeah.
we were
That
supposed-
was a rumor.
We were supposed to do a title swap.
And we were supposed to do a title swap where we gave the Northeast tag belts to Ben and Andrew, and we were supposed to wrestle Don and Two Step at that same show. They never won the belts, they didn't show up, so it didn't happen. But we still wanted to give them the belts. And we were going to win. We gave them the Northeast belts in return for their help in helping us win the world belts against Don and Two Step.
You're our only hope.
We're going to join forces and be called the Ecstasy of Gold with all four of us. With the Twin Towers, the Titan Towers, and the Stepdads.
I remember you telling me about that back in the day, and you
And-
were so hyped.
It never happened, but it was
Yeah.
such a cool idea, I thought. Where we'd be the two biggest champions.
We should just do storylines.
Or no.
Failed storylines.
Yeah, because
Maybe-
there was
maybe-
no U.S. Tag Champs at the time,
No,
so you guys
they
would
were
have
the.
been.
It was supposed to be the U.S. Tag Belts.
Oh, they had just brought them back. Yeah,
Yes, it was
we had
supposed to-
just
actually,
brought them
it
back,
wasn't- They weren't supposed to beat Rick and Snow. They were supposed to be the U.S. Tag Belts, and Don and Two Step were supposed to have them.
and they did win them.
They did win them,
Yeah.
but they didn't come to the show.
That's right.
And eventually, the idea was going to be that the Titan Towers and Stepdads were going to be in a triple threat tag with Snow and Rick, and we were going to screw each other in the match. So Rick and Snow would keep the belts, and we would actually screw each other out of the belts, and neither of us would end up with tag belts anymore.
Huh.
Eventually, it was going to be a breakup, and it would lead to a feud between the Titan Towers and the Stepdads. But it didn't get to happen.
That's a real shame.
You're right, it was the U.S. Tag Belts, though. Good call. I know, 2012, and we're going.
Yeah, we're going
Any
right
other
into
questions?
it.
Any questions you want to start with? So I'm not just talking.
No, this is great.
I'm involved. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
2012, I
I'm
think the
involved. I can still use my fingers to adjust my balls, so I'm pretty good.
if you
Use
could
mine
adjust,
if you want.
It's always good if you can adjust your balls. 2012 started out with WrestleFest 12, which is the last WrestleFest to happen. That was RussellFest, I believe.
Oh yeah, when I came out as Mr. the Russell Fest.
Yes, RussellFest.
And even by that point, so many people didn't know who you were or barely knew about you.
Don't care.
Actually, my first match of that year was my match with... Oh, I skipped right by Goodbye. That's really how I feel about Goodbye 2011. I skipped right over it.
Why? What was wrong with it?
I was in a Survivor Series match
With me?
with Rad, and it sucked. It really wasn't good. I don't
else
care
was
if
in it?
anybody liked that match. It wasn't good.
Who the hell else was in it?
Joe Randa.
Yeah,
It was like
It was
Randa,
Radical
Brody.
Movement versus Team GBYWN, because at the time we were like anti-GBYWN.
Yeah, and Team GBYWN was like me, Brody, Randa, D-Mac, and Sick Rick.
The
Versus
fuck?
versus Rad, J, Genocide, Warren, and Ragnarok.
There was a lot of people that bailed. Like Joe Hall bailed. Mike Dell was supposed to be in
And
it.
it sucked. I'm sorry, Rad. I don't know if you like that match. I think the story
I just
of it
like
was,
the fact that I got to wrestle Joe Randa.
I think the
that's all.
story of the match was good. It set up Randa and Brody, which was cool. But the match itself sucked. Like, it was way too hastily thrown together, I feel like. And not a lot of people got to shine in that match. I was out of that match in like 2 minutes. Like, I feel like I only had like 2 minutes of ring time in that whole match. Although I did like the way I got eliminated, which was
The super kick.
the super kick while I was holding you on my... I had Rad up for the Pride Driver, and Jay super kicked me?
Yep.
Jay super kicked me, and I fell back, and Rad fell right into a pitting position on top of me. Which I thought was cool.
That's why you do it with balls.
But that match wasn't great. I don't know who I wrestled day 1 or day 2. I wrestled Genocide day 2. That's
Yeah.
okay.
I thought it was a funny match though with the idea you guys came up with.
I know. Nobody popped for that match when it happened. Me vs. Genocide had some really funny spots. I was surprised nobody.
I love Genocide.
This is when Jay and Genocide were the new mark of excellence. And they were wearing masks. And Rad was with them. They were in the
That's a part of the joke. That they're identical but not.
They were wearing masks, and we did the masked switcheroo spot with Matt Nemo and B
Can't
Cube.
tell the difference.
So B Cube comes in and starts hitting me with black hole slams and leg drops.
Doing Genocide's moves.
And I no-sold it like it was totally a legit thing that was happening. Genocide rolled out, and I went in to cover Jay and acted like nothing was different. And we did some really funny stuff. Me and Nemo started out the match by ducking a whole bunch of lines and stuff and getting tired.
And then falling over.
And falling over in exhaustion. But nobody popped. The finish was cool. I hit Matt with the Pride Driver.
That's pretty good.
But it was fun, but nobody cared.
I will tell you right now, Jay was one of the easiest people to play with ever. I went against him in the trios, and it was him and Genocide and Warren against me.
Never faced him.
Richie. Who the fuck was it? Doc? Was Doc on my team? I don't remember.
Because Doc was on the team we faced in the finals. Or you mean Doc Sexy?
Doc Sexy.
Oh, he was on that team, yes.
Yeah, no wonder I remember not enjoying
Because I remember Jay hating wrestling him.
Yeah, that's like I said. Yeah, I remember not enjoying that match for a reason.
But Jay is super easy to work.
Oh no, he's fucking.
Yeah, I loved working with him. 2 occasions.
I started off. One of the first matches I had after. Well, the first match I had in 2012 was against Eddie Idol, which is a dream match of mine. I never really cared about doing hardcore matches, but I wanted to wrestle Eddie Idol because it was like a fight.
And that was in the hardcore title tournament in EWA, right?
Eddie Idol was an old school UWA guy.
Okay.
He was super fun to work.
Crazy style.
Yeah, Frank. He actually, fun fact, he used to be. He was trained by Chikara, I believe. And if you look at the old Chikara pages, it's they have their head of security is Crazy Frank. It's Eddie Idol.
Okay.
But Eddie Idol wrestled. I wrestled him. We fought. He beat me, which was awesome because he couldn't remember the last time he had won. He always lost.
Wow.
He hit me with a fresh maker, which is like a punch in the mouth, but he punched a chair into my face.
That sounds like an AIO match.
It was just fun. I kicked the shit out of him.
Yeah, you don't really wrestle AIO.
You fight him. That's the truest thing anyone's ever said to me. I don't remember who told me that, but you don't wrestle Eddie Idol. You fight him. At one point, he started attacking me outside the ring and potatoing me in the head with punches, and I just Dr. Bombed him on the ground, and he was cool with it. He didn't
great
care.
Because he probably didn't mind getting as much as he gave.
And the great thing is, the dude, he's the nicest dude ever. As soon as the match ends, he's like, "Thanks, man. It was fun. I'm out." But everybody marked the fuck out when he came out, and it was fun.
Yeah,
that was my first
people
hardcore.
really love Eddie.
That was what led to me ultimately winning the hardcore belt because they thought I could do a good hardcore match. But first I wrestled WrestleFest 12, which was me and who the fuck did I tag with? Joe Hall. Me and Joe Hall versus Danny and Murph. Because Danny had joined the Pride of the Northeast, and I hadn't.
That's one of my better decisions.
That's the worst decision. Literally the worst decision me and Danny have ever made was joining the Pride of the Northeast.
It's like the Eric Williams thing. We left that because we didn't like it, and Pride of the Northeast also.
No health candy.
No.
No wonder you guys made your own faction eventually.
Yeah, it feels sucked.
It's understandable.
Should have joined the Radical Movement.
Pride of the Northeast was just so much bullshit. I love Murph, but Murph gets really serious and almost a little too convoluted with his storyline sometimes.
He also looks like a scuba diver. That's what crazy people say.
Yeah, he looks like a scuba diver. And that killed our momentum, I feel like. Danny just stopped wrestling in 2012. The Stepdads were done for most of 2012. But we wrestled. I was tagging with Joe, and I ended up turning on Joe and joining the Pride of the Northeast.
I didn't travel that much, that's what it was. With
Danny, and you were working a lot.
Yeah.
And then day 2, I wrestled Mike Davis, which I have a history of doing in BXW.
Apparently.
I wrestled Mike Davis and Arkham.
In a 3-way, right?
In a 3-way. And it's still probably the maddest I've ever been at someone after a match.
Why?
Yes.
At that WrestleFest, Jay had bought those the piece of sheet metal, and drawn on them and put them on the fence, so you could bang on them, like ROH style. And at some point during the match, Arkham improvised a spot. Like, the beginning of that match was great. That was the No Mercy match where we did all the No Mercy
And
stuff.
that was so awesome.
Which was hilarious.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, I bet Arkham planned all that shit. Fuck Arkham. It was my idea to do that stuff in the first place. He brought it up, and I was like, yeah, let's fucking do it. So it never would have happened without me. So fuck him. Anybody who thinks he's so super creative, and fuck him.
I never thought that.
He takes a piece of sheet, one of those sheet.
Batman.
He rips one of those sheet pieces. He rips one of those pieces of sheet metal off the fence and puts it on top of me, and I'm thinking I don't know what he's gonna do. He doesn't tell me what he's doing, so I'm thinking he's gonna stomp it or something. So I go I put my hands over my head to protect my head, like your head spiking almost.
What did he do, a senton?
He did a senton right into my ribs.
Yeah.
So I wasn't protecting them, and it knocked the wind out of me, and I finished the match. I even took the Joker driver off the top rope. But it took me a while to get back in, and him and Davis had to improvise some stuff because I didn't think I was going to be able to finish. It's the first time I ever had the wind knocked out of me in a match.
It's not fun.
It's not fun. And they didn't come over and be like... It happened again with Matt Ecstatic and Johnny Boy in a match a year later. And Matt comes over, he goes, take some deep breaths, get some water, hold your hands over your head. We'll improvise while you're getting ready to get back in this match. Arkham did no such thing. Arkham just goes, well, fuck it, we'll finish the match without you.
I remember. That's pretty much what happened.
We get in the back after the match, and he goes, this is why I don't wrestle yard anymore, and blames me for everything. And I'm like, you're a fucking dickhead. you shoot senton without telling me and injured me, and you blame it on me? Fuck you, dude. I hated him even more than I did before after that.
I remember him being mad first for you having to rest, and then being mad, even more mad because you came back.
Yeah.
Because he had already changed the finish.
And everybody popped big for the finish because he Joker drivered me off the fucking turnbuckle.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. But fuck him. He goes, this is why I don't wrestle yard anymore. Well, fuck you, that's why I don't wrestle pro. Get the fuck out of here. You piece of shit.
He doesn't wrestle yard anymore.
Yeah.
Sarcasm.
I have a sweet gear on my hand, bro.
You gotta aim somewhere.
Yeah, he aimed right for the fucking middle. No wonder he was curtain jerking fucking JPW for 10 years.
Walls.
Oh, I never made it out of the fucking mid card. Yeah, because you suck. You're a piece of shit to work with. I always liked him. I loved Arkham before I met him.
Sounds
Never
like
heard of him before I met him.
Yeah.
And there you have it, folks. The end of an interview with a guy I gotta say is quite underrated when it comes to ideas, when it comes to just great stories, great storytelling. Patric Wilson, one day you will have your day in the spotlight, and you won't feel underappreciated. You won't feel like you're being held down. One day you will have your moment, and you'll be the man. Because right now, behind the scenes, you are the man. Everyone loves you, P-Dub. And as long as you keep it up, your time's gonna come, man. Your time's absolutely gonna come. And I hope it comes sooner than later, especially with the stepdads. You guys rule tag team wrestling right now. You're neck and neck with the Flamboys. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. Not at all. But in the meantime, I'm gonna sit back and do a little reflecting on what I got to enjoy here at the NYE4 event as I go into the next BXW show, which I will help run. So, in the meantime, folks, I am your host, Rad Hazard. Please enjoy the sounds of backyard wrestling as I sign off here inside my 91 Ford Mustang Sound Studio for the #1 backyard wrestling podcast on the face of the earth, the GBYWN Podcast. Now listen up!
No.
Would never have admitted it coming into this. But I had something to prove here. I haven't won a world title in 7 years. That's longer than most of you who've been wrestling.
Way at the top. Got him. Got him.
And god damn it, I fucking proved something tonight! I am the GBYWN World Heavyweight Champion! I am taking this belt back to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada! And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna defend it against this guy! I'm gonna defend it against that guy! Not him, because my partner will never Yakuza J, Nick Price, Chris Mason, Deuce McFlux, whoever the fuck. And you know who else I'm going to defend it against? Because I'm going to be the goddamn fighting champion this belt has ever seen. I'm going to defend it against any one of you that has the balls to come to Vancouver for Basic Wrestling Universe 3, any other show we run, you come, I'll put this fucking belt on the line against any of you, and I'll keep it. And if I got this belt 1 year from now, and you have the fucking balls to do a show 1 year from now, I'll put it on the line then too. Until then, I'm the champion. That's right. That's right. I'm the champion. Come and get this! Come and get it!
I will steal it, I swear to God.